The American diet is getting out of control. And I say American, but America really just sets the tone. Whatever America has, your country will have in the coming years. And certain cultures might already be worse than America, but America is just easy to pick on. The moral of the story, though, is that world health keeps getting worse and worse generation after generation. More and more people are coming down with serious illnesses like heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and people are getting these illnesses younger and younger. Now, something this serious is likely to have multiple causes, but my research suggests to me that diet is probably the biggest cause. And it doesn't really surprise me. The standard diet people are eating is out of control. Our food is being weaponized by the powers that be, and the diet information we get from doctors and people's own dietary choices are not really much better either. So is it really any surprise then that the rates of obesity and chronic illness are going up year after year steadily? I don't really think so. Let's start with the weaponization of our food. It's hard to even list all of the ways our food is being tampered with. We have dangerous pesticides that are sprayed on our foods, and the fertilizers being used on our crops are likely causing some issues as well. There is genetic modification, which is altering our food from natural to synthetic. Much of the fruits and vegetables we have today did not exist naturally in, nature. And then beyond that, there's artificial food colorings and artificial flavors, which are in everything, which are basically not even really supposed to be edible things. They're chemicals created in a lab, and a lot of them are created from God knows what. It's pretty crazy when you look into it. Beyond that, the meat we eat is often injected with hormones, and the animals are being fed shitty grains and not their proper diet, which makes their meat and whatever else on their body be not as nutritious and maybe harmful in other ways as well. Most of our food is heavily processed, and even a lot of the food we think wouldn't be processed, it's still processed in some way and is hiding some dangerous things in it. Like somehow they find a way to put sugar and seed oils into nearly everything. It's kind of crazy. Even meats aren't safe. There's evidence that all of these things can cause harm individually. But the thing is that most people are eating foods with multiple of these different factors all day, every day. We as a society are now so far removed from the natural food that God provided us on this earth, it's actually insane. Even if your dietary choices are relatively good and you're avoiding the obvious poisons, there are still so many little dangerous compounds and stuff that are snuck into your food that you wouldn't really know about unless you're really in tune with all of this stuff and do research about it. Moving to the dietary advice given to us by doctors and the medical establishment, most of that is backwards as well. They tell you that cholesterol is bad for you and causes heart attacks, but this has actually never been proven, and in fact, it is actually the opposite that's been proven. It's been proven that higher cholesterol levels are actually associated with longer lifespans. But the medical establishment won't tell you that, and instead, the powers that be want you eating toxic processed engine lubricant that are seed oils, which they call natural and heart healthy when they're anything but. For the same reason, they'll tell you to avoid health superfoods like red meat, eggs, fish, and butter, and they'll tell you to eat a bunch of grains and plants instead, even though those foods are comparatively devoid of nutrition. The food pyramid is also telling you to gorge on a bunch of carbs all day long, even though excess carbs and the insulin resistance that comes with it is implicated in pretty much every chronic illness we have today. Pretty much all of the advice is backwards. It's pretty insane, and the masses don't even care to look into it or research it. They just take everything the establishment says at face value, and their health is suffering as a result. And the thing is that you can't even wake most people up. Even among the more health-conscious people, most people are still NPCs and aren't even really looking into it or researching the real truths. These kinds of people believe all of the mainstream propaganda. They're eating a bunch of grains, plants, and low-fat protein thinking that they're being healthy. You can show them the evidence in front of their very eyes, but they still won't believe you. They don't have the capacity to discern real science and logic from propaganda. Instead, they'll oftentimes just call you some kind of ist or obe. And if the supposed health-conscious people are this bad, the average person is far worse. The average person is eating a fat donut or muffin with coffee for breakfast, then they'll eat a processed sandwich for lunch, and for dinner they're probably cooking a microwavable pasta with a side of Coke. And between these meals, they're probably snacking on some BS like chips, and for dessert after dinner, they're probably eating something like Oreos. When I was in America for a bit, it astounded me how bad the average person's diet was. They were eating donuts for breakfast, there was an insane level of caffeine abuse throughout the day, with multiple coffees and energy drinks. The lunches that I would see people bring in were about 80% grains, and that was if they were bringing a lunch. A lot of people would go out for lunch and go grab something like a Jimmy John's or A&W burgers or whatever, basically a bunch of still processed BS. And then for dinner, from what I heard, most people were making some kind of processed, ready-made, microwavable dinner, or if they weren't making something at home, if they were super lazy, they were just eating out again and really eating the bottom of the barrel kind of food. So again, this is why it doesn't really surprise me that chronic illness and obesity is steadily on the rise. Honestly, it feels pretty weird to be someone who is truly health conscious in this modern world because of all of these factors. You really feel like a social pariah. If you try to wake people up, they'll call you an extremist, and it can really be overwhelming to try and keep up with all of the different ways that our modern diet is killing us. But I say that all of this is worth it because your health is the biggest asset you have. No amount of money or great relationships is really able to help you much when you're sick and you're living every day in pain. Disease is also one of the ways that the powers that be control us. If you're sick, you're distracted and you're not really going to be paying much attention to what they're doing. And even if you somehow find out, you'll never really be able to fight the system properly as a sick man. So they know that if they have you sick, they have you in the palm of their hands. This is why I personally care so much about my health, and I would urge you to do the same. That's pretty much it for the video. Thanks for watching. Bye.